We are doing things a little bit different today. I realize there's so many questions that I get that I want to answer, so many topics to discuss. But with the busy schedule, sometimes I don't get to it all. So today, some of the questions I get, of course, is about, is this straight? Of course, is about what we talk about here, toxic and narcissistic relationships, but also about my hair. So today we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to be talking about hair and healing all at the same time. So let's call this episode Hair and Healing. All right. So for those of you who have been asking me questions about my hair, I am natural, so I don't have any relaxer or anything in my hair. That's why sometimes you see it curly, sometimes you see it straight. And a lot of times people ask me, how do I style it? So today, just because I have the products here with me, I'll just share how I style it straight. And then another time I'll talk about the curly. The curly I usually do, let me open this door for some air. Okay. The curly I usually do, oh, I forgot something. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So the curly I usually do in the summertime. Now, I am currently in St. Martin, so it's hot here all year round. But we do get cooler in the winter months, right? So we don't get snow, of course, and it's not cold, but it is cooler. Then it gets extremely hot in the summer. So I just reserve the curly for the summertime. So let me just quickly share kind of how I do my straight hair, and then we can go into answering some questions. And I hope y'all can hear me well. Yeah. Okay, so straight hair I do every 2 weeks. Now here's the key. A lot of people say, oh, my hair doesn't stay straight when I flat iron it. And the reason is your hair has to get heat trained. Okay. And what that means is that your hair just gets used to being curly. For example, I was wearing my hair curly all summer, and then October I went to straightening it with the flat iron, blow dryer flat iron. Right now it's blow dry, and now you're gonna see me flat iron it. Hello Rajesh, welcome. We're doing a hair and healing conversation today. So we're talking about hair and about healing from toxic and narcissistic relationships. So what was I saying? Okay, so October I decided to, can you hear me clearly, Rajesh or Sohan? So October I decided to go straight, and the first day or so, not the first day, the first 1 or 2 times that you straighten it, it's not gonna last because your hair is not used to being straight. Now we're in January, and it's very easy to just quickly blow dry it and flat iron it because my hair is used to being straight. So if you are a natural curly girl like me, and you want to flat iron your hair, give yourself some time. So I do my hair every 2 weeks. You don't want to put your hair under heat more than that. So every 2 weeks I wash, blow dry, flat iron. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you. What was I saying? Yeah, so every 2 weeks I do it. And yeah, after the first few weeks, after each session, so every 2 weeks you have a session. After each session it gets easier and easier because your hair is used to being straight. Now, what do I do? First, I go under the water. I do everything in the shower. I shampoo. I always start off with, you want to start off with a clarifying shampoo because you want your hair not to have any products on it, right? So for us girls with curly kinky hair, we put products in our hair, and our scalp also produces its own sebum, right, which is the oils from your scalp. And your hair just gets buildup over those 2 weeks. So you really want to start off with a clarifying shampoo. Now this is not technically called clarifying, and it's I think a product from Dominican Republic, so it's in Spanish. But I find that it does clean my hair more squeaky clean than, say, a moisturizing shampoo. So I know these are all very popular. This is a moisturizing shampoo. They're very popular for those of us who have curly hair because we need a lot of moisture. But you don't want to only use that when you're wearing your hair curly, even when you don't wear your hair curly, because when you even when you do wear your hair curly, because when you do, I'm sorry, I'm talking fast because I need to hurry up and flat iron my hair. But when you do wear your hair curly, you also have a lot of product in it. So the point is you want to make sure you get all that product out. So I always start with a clarifying shampoo, do one shampoo of that, rinse that out, and then go in with a moisturizing shampoo. And this one is by Design Essentials. It's called Almond Avocado, sulfate free, but it's a moisturizing. So I like to end with a moisturizing shampoo just because our hair dries out quickly. So we want to make sure that, yes, we clarify and get that product out, but that we also, you know, put the moisture back in. Okay, welcome, see you guys coming in, welcome. Okay, so that's what I do. So once I do that, this is going to be your best friend if you have afro textured hair. Okay, this melts the knots away. I've been using this for years. It's the Tresemme conditioner. Now this one says moisture rich. They have other types, moisture rich for color hair, sleek, curls. But in my opinion, because sometimes I can't find one, I get the other. They all work the same, but you want the Tresemme conditioner. It's a big bottle, so it lasts a good amount of time, and you can just pile it on. We need a lot of product in our type of hair. So I go in with that, and I get a detangling brush, and I detangle it out. I should have brought the brush. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So this is what I detangle with. Sorry, it's a bit messy. I just used it. This is what I detangle with. Okay, and I section it off. Everything I do in sections, down the middle, down the sides, section, 4 sections, and I go through each section, and this melts the knots away. Okay, once I do that, I add deep conditioner. You always want to deep condition your hair to keep it healthy and to keep it strong. Okay, shampoo and regular conditioner is not enough. You want to deep condition. I've used multiple different types of deep conditioner, so if I come in here and do more of these hair and heel videos, I will share the different ones. But today I use this one. It's by Nailah Organics, and it's the rice water. And why I'm using this one, it's important to know when your hair needs moisture versus when it needs protein, or when it needs both, right? So with our type of hair, we usually need both because our hair gets dry easily. We usually need some amount of moisture, but when you're using heat, that strips the hair. When you're using color, that strips the hair. So you definitely need protein, and that strengthens the hair, because a lot of people say, oh, my hair don't grow. Everyone's hair grows out of your scalp, right? It's just a matter of is it healthy and strong where it's not breaking off as it grows, so you can actually see the length, right? So because I use heat and because I have color, I want to always make sure I have protein in my deep conditioner. So that deep conditioner has protein in it. And the way to know if your deep conditioner has protein in it is by reading it. If it says strengthening, if it says strengthening, building, protein, any of that language, it will show that it has protein, because if it's strengthening your hair, then it has protein in it. So I go under the dryer. That's another key. I go under the dryer with my deep conditioner. I put on a cap. Now, when I do a deep conditioner, let me say this. When you go to the salons, usually they just do this, and they do this real quick, and then they put a cap on you and put you under the dryer. Some don't even put you under the dryer. I don't do that. Again, I do everything in 4 sections. Section it off. Section by section, I run that deep conditioner through because I want to make sure all of my hair gets some of that deep conditioner on it. I put the cap on, go under the dryer for 15 minutes minimum. Sometimes I have little kids, so sometimes I have to stop what I'm doing. Sometimes I even sleep with the deep conditioner in it, and in the morning I wash it out and then continue the process. But on I guess a good day where I'm able to do everything in one shot, I will sit under the dryer for 15 minutes. Once that's done, take off the cap, let the hair cool down, because the purpose of going under the dryer is to let your cuticles, each strand has cuticles, it allows that to open up so that it can receive the product that you put on it, right? The deep conditioner. And so when it's hot, everything is open. So you want the hair to cool down so it can kind of close back and capture the nutrients that the deep conditioner is providing to the hair shaft, right? So once it's cooled down, that's an extra 5 to 10 minutes. You go under the shower, rinse it out. You're done with that. Now we go on to blow drying. Again, I section always into 4 sections. And then with each section, did I forget the spray? I think I forgot the spray. I will be right back. Let me get this for you. Okay, so once it is rinsed out, now it's time to blow dry. Section everything off again in 4 sections. Each section I go in and I spray this from the roots to the ends. And this is Design Essentials. It's called Agave and Lavender. It's their silk press line. What I do with the flat iron, that's called a silk press. So I blow it out, but I also go over it with the flat iron. A blowout is just to stretch the hair, dry it of course, and to stretch it out. The flat iron is really what gets it silky straight. So this is their silk press line, and this is their blow dry and styling primer. Okay, so I go on with that, and then I go on with Paul Mitchell serum. Okay, it's called Super Skinny Serum. Lasts a long time. It's very greasy, so you don't want much. Now I have very thick hair, so again I always work in 4 sections. In the back sections, each back section I do 2 pumps of this, rub it in my hand, rub it in, start from the ends and work my way up. Don't get too much in the roots because my scalp gets oily, so I can't put such greasy stuff in my scalp because in a few days my scalp is going to get greasy anyway. And I don't want my hair to be way down and greasy, right? Especially not early on in my hair being done. So I put 2 pumps of this in the 2 back sections and 1 pump in the front section. And then that's it for product. I roll it up, pin it, and then I go in with my blow dryer. First, I hold my hair tight to pull the roots, stretch the roots, and I just blow dry like this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just blow drying the roots, right? Because it's stretched. And then I go in with that same brush I showed you, and then I start to blow dry in the long way. And I have some reels coming out with me doing that, so you'll see it. So if you're not already subscribe so you can see that. Okay, so once everything is blow dried, this is where I am now. So now you're gonna see me flat iron. Okay, let me put away these products. Okay, so like I said, I work in sections. So I'm going to get my clips out and I'm going to section off everything. It's always good to have a rat tail comb. And I'm going to go into answering some questions shortly. I just wanted to do this to answer some questions some people have been having. Not just about toxic and narcissistic relationships, but a lot about, you know, what do I do with my hair? So as soon as I do this, then we'll get into answering some questions. So I'm sectioning this off in 4 sections. And then I'm gonna start flat ironing. And just as a tip, and I said it earlier for those of you who caught it, ooh, that's kind of tight. When I first start flat ironing after wearing my hair curly, I take very small sections because my hair is used to being curly. It's not used to being straight, right? But as the weeks go on and I'm consistently flat ironing my hair every 2 weeks, Then my hair gets more used to being straight, and then I don't have to take such small sections anymore because my hair is used to being flat ironed, right? So your hair has memory, I guess you can say. Okay, so once that is done, I'm gonna go in. This is a key product. This is by L'Oreal Paris. It's called Sleek It Iron Straight Heat Spray. This makes a huge difference. If I don't put this in, my hair does not get as silky and it does not last as long. So this is crucial. So I spray that, start at the ends, a few pieces here, a little bit in, fluff it out. And then I'm gonna take my hands, run that through, and then take the brush and just distribute it. Make sure that everything gets throughout the hair. All right, so now that's done. Now we're gonna go in a flat iron. I don't have much more to share about that. You'll just watch and see how I do it. Oh, the flat iron I use is FHI Heat Platform. I've been using this for years. I'm not one to try a whole bunch of different flat irons. When flat ironing first got big in the natural hair community, where everybody was doing big chops and going natural, I never did a big chop, but I did grow my relaxer out. It took me about 3.5 years to grow it out. I had bought a ceramic flat iron from the mall, one of the kiosks. It was super expensive back in those days because it was all new, right? Ceramic flat irons was something new. I think I paid like $300 for it. And it lasted me for maybe 10, 15 years. And then it broke eventually. I ended up getting the Babyliss Pro titanium plates because I see so many people talk about it. It did not work for me. I felt like it did not do anything for me. The titanium plate was not as good as the ceramic plate. So I know a lot of people rave about that flat iron and titanium plates, the Babyliss Pro, but it did not work for me. So I went back to ceramic, and I got this brand because my hairdresser back in New Jersey, they use that brand, I believe, and she's the best at flat ironing. So if you live in New Jersey, let me know. I'll send you her info. All right, so that is what I use. Now I'm gonna go ahead and flat iron, and you'll just see how it's done. But again, I do everything in 4 sections, and then I'm gonna answer some questions for you guys while we're here. Okay, so the first question, and if you're new here, welcome. We talk about toxic and narcissistic relationship recovery here, how to get out of the relationship, how to heal, how to make sure you don't get back in those relationships. So subscribe if that's what you're looking for. So the first question I'm gonna answer, it says, one of my biggest fears is that he will change for his next girl, and that just shows that I wasn't good enough. Any word of advice, or how should I let this go? Okay, so that is, I just want you to know that's not an uncommon fear that you're, wondering. I think a lot of times people stay in these relationships because they're like, what if it's me? What if I finally say that's enough and I set my boundaries? Because sometimes people even end the relationship, they set their boundaries, but then they don't maintain the boundaries because they have this fear, whether they're aware of it or not. Some people have it and are not aware that if I completely cut him off, completely go no contact, that he might be the person that I thought he was, or he might become a better person, and then I missed out, right? Then I'm the one that made the mistake and I missed out. And in this case, you're asking, then someone else is going to benefit from it too, right? The new girlfriend is going to benefit from this better version of him. So my first response to that is that this is not a normal individual, right? Now, if you have seen toxic traits in him, you have considered him to be narcissistic, you have seen that he has been very abusive, right? And abuse, we're also talking about psychological, emotional abuse, hurting you and not having any remorse for it. And not having any remorse is not, oh, I'm sorry, but actually changing, right? Because change behaviors is the best way to apologize. One of the best ways to apologize. If you see these traits in them to the point where you're here on my channel and because you have considered them to be toxic or narcissistic, I want you to change your mindset around the way you view them. This is not a normal person. This is not a person that can suddenly have a light bulb go off and say, I was wrong all these years. You know, let me become a better person. I didn't know any better, or I just want to become a better person. That's not how these people work. Okay? So with that said, yes, in normal situations with normal people, yes, that can possibly happen. You know, you hear that joke with older women, like, yeah, he's a pain in the butt, but I'm not going to give him up now. I done invested too much in him, right? You know, I done trained him. I'm not going to train him for the next woman, right? Yeah, that can apply in those situations. But when you're talking about people who are manipulative, who are destructive to other people, who break other people, right? This is not just we just had a falling out, or we just can't see eye to eye. No, this is a person who is knowingly breaking you, hurting you, doing cruel things, saying cruel things, right? They see your tears. It doesn't change them no matter what, right? This is not a normal person. So with that said, these people never change. There is no changing. Yesterday I put out a video about, you know, does a narcissist change for the right person? And their behavior, whether good or bad, has no connection to whether it's the right or the wrong person. Yeah, so this is not a situation where it's like, oh, he moves on to another woman, so he's going to become a better person now. Maybe I made a mistake. You know, I fear that. Then it proves that I'm the wrong person. When they're behaving well, it's a manipulative strategy. It's not genuine. You see, people with personality disorders, they're not capable of changing. They don't have the capacity to change, nor the willingness to change. Can we just talk about that for a moment? They don't want to change. Now, they can pretend to change to suit their needs. For example, if you say, I'm done with this relationship, and they want to bring you back, right? Then they can pretend to change. But it is temporary, and it is an act. It is an act to get what they want, right? So whether he pretends to change or be better for the next girlfriend or not, it's never genuine. That's one, okay? That's one. If you see that happening, I remember I had someone shared with me that they saw stuff on social media. I put too much product in my hair. That's why you got to be careful with these products, because it can get very greasy. See, that's too greasy. Anyway, it is what it is. You know, the guy was traveling with the new girlfriend, and he seemed like such a gentleman with the new girlfriend, and she was just so broken because she was like, he treated me so awful. And immediately people start to personalize that and say that, okay, then I was the problem. No, my dear. And it doesn't mean not to say you were perfect. No one's perfect. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about abusive behavior, right? Breaking someone emotionally over and over and not changing, right? That is abuse. That is abuse. I know some of you, and I was there too, I didn't consider it abuse, but that is abuse. That is emotional abuse. They're not physically putting their hands on you, but they are psychologically and emotionally breaking you, right? So when you see that they are different with the new girlfriend or with anyone else, it is an act. It is an act of convenience, and it is only a matter of time before that new person sees who they are too. Okay, so that's one response to your question. The other response to your question is, this is going to sound a little harsh, but this is how I talk to myself to get myself back on track. I would say, Nailah, it's not your business. It's not your business. And that's the same for this. This is how I believe it helps to bring us back, because we end up wasting too much time caught up on them and their life and what they're doing than what is going on with us, right? Because there's work to be done. That's how I felt. I was like, I never want to go through this again. I need to figure out what I need to do to make sure this never happens again, right? So I think I took about a month to dive into narcissism, although I had already studied it in school. I have a degree in clinical social work, a master's degree in clinical social work, and I've worked in the mental health field. So it's something that we definitely studied, but not to great lengths, right? Just enough to understand what it is. And it's very different too when you're living it, right? So I took about a month to really understand, like, okay, this is, I see this behavior in him, I see that behavior in him, I think he is a narcissist, right? But then I had to focus on me. And one of the things that saves me from these types of questions, what if he changes? What if I made a mistake? What if? I had to tell myself, it's not my business, because this is who I got. What happens down the line, if he gets saved by the Lord Jesus Christ and changes his life, then good for him. Good for him. But it's not my business. What is my business is to understand how I need to heal myself, how I need to take care of myself, how I need to pour into myself, because these relationships are draining and exhausting. What I need to do, and what do I need to learn about myself that got me there in that situation, that kept me there for so long. It was 10 years. What kept me there so long? And what parts of me needs to change to make sure I don't end up in that situation again? That is where my focus needs to go. What happens with him is not my business. You know, that is a mindset of scarcity, when we're so afraid that we're going to miss out on something, that we sabotage ourselves by keeping ourselves in environments that are not good for us, connected to people that are not good for us, because we're so afraid of missing out, right? We cannot be desperate. Being desperate is one of the worst things you can do to yourself, is to be desperate for anything. We have to do our part, and our part is taking care of ourselves, being good to others, being fair to others, but also being good to ourselves. There's nothing noble in being good to others and not being good to yourself, right? So if this person happens to change their life and change their ways, which these types of people, that never happens, but let's say it does, because that's your fear, it's not your business. What is for you will be for you. What God has for you will be for you. And the only way you will miss what God has for you is when we don't follow his path, when we just start doing things on our own, right? So you might say, Nailah, well, how do I follow his path? Pray every day. Get used to sitting in silence in meditation, sitting in silence and listening to him, letting him talk to you, but not functioning in fear, not functioning in, oh, what if I lose him and he goes to the other girlfriend and is better to her? That is their business, not yours. It's not yours. That will give you so much relief. That will give you space to put energy into yourself, because that's what you need. I always say, coming out of these toxic narcissistic relationships is like coming out of war. You are drained. You are exhausted. You're not going to come out of war and just hop back into another war. No, you're going to go into getting treatment, and all different types of professionals, doctors, and everything are going to give you a checkup and see what you need. I mean, ideally, that's how it should be. I haven't been in the military, but I would expect that that's how it should be. Connect you with whatever support services that you need, right? That's how these relationships are. It's like coming out of war. You need to recover. So worrying about what they do with the new girlfriend, that's not your business. And really, like I said, it's all fake. It's all fake. Whatever nice things you see from them with the new girlfriend, it is all fake. But even if you don't believe it's fake, it's not really your business. What's your business is you, figuring you out. Because if you don't figure you out, if you don't figure out how you got in that situation, why you stayed there, you're going to end up in another one again. And that is why sometimes people find themselves going back into these situations. They're like, well, how do I keep getting caught up in these? Why do I keep attracting these types of people? Because you're not healing. And healing means also learning. Healing is not just feeling better, but it's also learning. Learning from the experience. Learning not just about them. I know everything. I see a lot on social media, studying the narcissist, take a course on narcissists. You're studying them. You're not studying yourself. We have to study ourselves. Girly tips. Hello, hello. All right. So that is my answer to that question. Give me a second. I'm going to answer another question for you. Let me just do this last piece. So like I said before, I think I put too much product. My hair is a little greasier than I would like. I would like it lighter. So it has a nice shine. It's a little too oily. So next time I will probably put maybe 1 pump of that serum instead of 2. The funny thing is, with oils, we don't like them, but they're actually good for us. I remember I used to get facials pretty consistently about 10 years ago. And I used to complain to the lady all the time, like, my skin is so greasy. I don't like it. It's so greasy. And she said, and I was in my 20s then. She said, well, greasy is a good thing. That's what's going to keep your skin looking young. And it's the same thing for the hair, like that, those natural oils that your scalp produces. And my scalp gets quite oily, which is why I don't grease my scalp. I know that's uncommon for black girls. Greasing our scalp is something traditional, or oiling the scalp, but I don't, because my scalp produces its own oil and it gets so oily. The last time I oiled my scalp was after I had my son, and I had so much hair loss from the postpartum. And then I was using rosemary oil, but I was wearing my hair curly then, so it was okay if my hair was way down. All right, let me finish this last section and then I'll pull up another question. And if you happen to catch the replay, those of you who catch the replay, feel free to put comments in the question in the comments. Whew. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we kind of just talked about this, but I'll answer this question. It says, why do I attract narcissist people over and over? So let's talk about that for a minute. I did a live this morning where I do a live most mornings called Glow and Grow, where I come in with a short message. So check that out, or turn on your notifications if you can, so you can catch those. But today's message, I did speak on that because I also had another question about that. And there is no coincidence that for those that end up in toxic or narcissistic relationships repeatedly, it's not a coincidence. There's a reason for it. Now, people who are manipulative, toxic, narcissistic, however you want to call them, they typically look for people with good qualities, right? People who are honest, people who are loyal, people who like to help others, kind people. They never find people like them. Let me not say never. In some cases, you do see two sick people together, narcissistic, but it's rare. It's rare. They don't work. They don't last. They might do it just because it's fun for them. They both love the drama and the chaos, but you don't usually see it often. So with that said, they are attracted to people with good qualities, right? Like I said, loyal, kind, generous, giving, honest, All of these are good qualities. So I don't want you to think that you need to change that about you. You don't. Even though that's what attracts them, yes, you don't have to change it. Now, what we do need to tweak is knowing that not everyone deserves all of that from us, right? So going through the healing journey is about changing mindset, right? It's not just about feeling better. Okay, I'm not crying anymore. Okay, time has passed. Or, okay, I got a new job and I'm making more money. That's not healing. Yes, things might seem a bit better, but it's also about learning what parts of me do I need to change, becoming more wise too, understanding who to give those things to, who to give those qualities to, right? Not everyone deserves that. I believe it's the Bible, not sure, but I believe it's the Bible that says don't cast your pearls on swine, right? What does that mean? The swine, the pig, is not going to appreciate those pearls. They don't know what pearls are. They don't care about no pearls. So here you are saying, I have pearls. I value these pearls, and I'm going to give them to the swine, to the pigs. That pig is probably going to either step on it in the mud or eat it, because the pig does not understand the value of pearls. They don't see the value of pearls. Now, people who are toxic and narcissistic, they see the value in you. So it's not that they don't see it, but they don't value it. They don't respect it. They don't have the intention to nurture it and to pour back into you as you are pouring into them, right? So healing is about understanding how to decipher between people who deserve your good qualities and people who don't deserve the good qualities. Healing, healing is also about not being desperate, right? Because sometimes people know, okay, this person is not right, but they're afraid to let them go. We spoke about that a little bit earlier. Afraid to let them go because they fear that they're going to miss out. So these are some of the mindsets to work on. Not being desperate. Understanding that there are some people who are highly manipulative. They're very good at it. So in the beginning, everything might seem right. Right? Let me share with you my own personal experience. Like I said, I was in a narcissistic relationship for 10 years. 2 of those years were marriage. If you're wondering why this part is so short, this part broke off severely after I had my son. So it's grown back a lot. It was all the way here. Now it's here. But yeah, that rosemary oil really helped. So going back to my situation, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Oh, and let me share this too. A lot of times people question what temperature to put your flat iron on. It depends on how thick your hair is. This goes up to 450. I think I have it on about 4 or 425. Now that might seem really hot to some people, but I'm very adamant about heat protectants and I'm very adamant about deep conditioning, which I shared earlier. So my hair so far, after all these years, I've been doing this for 20 years now, handles the high heat. But what I think is good about the high heat too is that it allows you to just do one pass, right? You're not constantly over and over on the same section of hair putting the heat. You do one pass and you're done. And if you see me using this brush, it's called the chase method. That allows the heat to get through to all the strands. So then again, you don't have to do multiple passes. You see, I just did that one pass and it's straight. Okay, so going back to my situation. Sometimes you see the red flags, but you ignore it, right? So we talked about first being able to use wisdom and discernment on who to give your good qualities to, because yes, people who are manipulative, users, abusers, narcissistic, whatever you want to call them, yes, They do look for those good qualities, but it doesn't mean you need to change those good qualities, but you need to become wise in who you give those qualities to, right? Who you give access to you, right? So once you realize that, sometimes people do realize, like, okay, this person is not a good person, or this person is not treating me the way I deserve. Sometimes people still hold on and they don't understand why, or we're not willing to face why, right? Because it's confronting to admit that we're making a decision that we know is not good for us, right? So I'm gonna open up and let you know for those of you who don't know my story. In my situation, I was in that relationship for 10 years, and I saw the signs from after the first few dates, right? Why did I stay so long? And I didn't know this in the beginning, but this is the work that I had to do as I was going through my healing journey to understand why did I stay here? Because I saw it, right? I realized I was hyper focused on creating stability for myself. You see, I am a very structured person. I'm a very goal-oriented person. I don't believe in wasting time. I don't believe in just idle time. Let me say that. I don't believe in idle time and idle things for the most part, right? I'm not completely like strict. I do believe in having fun, but I believe in things having a purpose, and things meaning something, right? And I did not want to be someone that was like a serial dater and had, by the time I'm 30, have like tons of boyfriends and partners, and I didn't want that. I grew up in a household where my mother and father were married until she passed away. And they were together since they were teenagers. So I had always admired that, and I had always wanted that for myself. So when I got into this relationship, even though I had seen the signs, because I felt very confident in myself, and I was always able to accomplish the goals that I had set out for myself, right? And this is something I see a lot with my clients, is that usually they are strong women, they are go-getters, and they're successful, in whatever their goal is. It's not success in one particular way, but successful in the sense of they know what they want and they get it, right? Where that can hurt some of us, and this is what hurt me in my particular situation, is sometimes you apply that to people. And the reality is, and this is something I had to learn on my healing journey, is that you cannot control other people, right? So yes, you may be able to set a goal for yourself, a certain job you want to have, a career you want to have, or degree you want to have, or social circles you want to have, whatever it is, traveling that you want to do. You can set all those goals and you can accomplish them based on your actions. But when it comes to people, you don't have control over that. You can only do your part. People are going to have their own motives, their own goals, their own way of being. And no matter how strong of a woman you are, how successful of a woman you are, you cannot control another human being. And I know that confuses some people, because they're like, oh yeah, well I heard you can train a man and you can do. That works in situations where the man wants to be trained. Where a man says, this is who I am, but I know I can become better. I respect this woman. I love this woman. And I'm open to her guiding me and pouring into me. And I'm going to do the same and pour back into her. That's a different story. But these people that we're talking about, who have shown us to be toxic and narcissistic, these people have no interest in changing, right? And if you're not sure about your situation, just look at the patterns. Look at the patterns of behavior. Look at the patterns throughout the relationship that you've had with them. Have they changed? And if they change, did they maintain the change? Is there improvement, or has it gotten worse, or is it the same? All right? Don't let yourself be confused because you don't want to face the reality. All you have to do is look at the history. Look at the patterns of behavior throughout the history of your relationship. Let me go back to this question, because I know we kind of went off. Sophia, thank you so much. Welcome. So I'm here answering some questions. Why do I attract narcissistic people over and over? Okay. So I had to look at, okay, so I explained to you why I stayed, right? I saw the signs, but because I was so invested in creating stability for myself and building a family and not wanting to hop around from boyfriend to boyfriend, I thought that if I just stuck around and I can teach him how to be better, I can coach him, you know, I can make it work. And that was a big mistake, because then it's too much work. Yes, relationships are work, but it should not be work in the sense where you are begging someone to change and to be better. When they see the problems ongoing in the relationship and they see your tears and they see your pain, and that doesn't move them. If that doesn't move someone, that is scary. That's scary. If your tears doesn't move someone who says they love you, that is a major red flag, red light, red sign, all of it in one. Okay? Dumping that brush. Ugh. Let me put it here. So yes, that is my answer to that. That is why you will continue to attract narcissistic people into your life, is that there's something that's making you look past the red flags that you see. You might be desperate for a relationship. You might be desperate for whatever reason. People can be desperate for different reasons. Like I said, I was desperate because I didn't want to have, you know, another boyfriend and date. I didn't want to be a serial dater. That was not me. You know, I was very focused. I knew what career I wanted. I was very focused on getting the degrees that I wanted, building my career. I knew by a certain age I wanted to have a family. And I just figured, okay, well, I see red flags in this person, even though you don't call them red flags at that time, but you see some behaviors, you know, and you figure I can fix it. And the reality is, when someone wants you, and usually I'm speaking to my ladies here, so if you're a lady, I'm speaking to you right now. And if you're a male, you can switch it to by gender, but I'm speaking to the ladies right now. When a man wants you, you're not going to have to work that hard. He's going to see the value in you. He's going to say, I want this to work, right? Don't abuse that now. Don't mistreat him because he wants it to work. Give him your best, but he's also going to give you his best, right? You're not going to have to beg him to act right. You're not going to have to beg him to treat you with respect. You're not going to have to beg him, right? It doesn't mean there may not be disagreements, but it's not going to be so much work and so hard. So this is the work to do. If you find that you are constantly falling into toxic and narcissistic relationships, know that it is not a coincidence. Understand that you have to become more wise about how you deal with people when you see certain behaviors. One of the things I teach in my program, the Relationship Detox, is being clear, and it's always helpful to write these things out, which is why I have a workbook to go along with the course. The courses is writing down, what are your requirements? What is important for you, for people to have access to you? What does access mean? To be in your life. They're able to call you, they're able to text you, they're able to get time. They're able to get some of your time, right? They're able to get your attention, they're able to get conversations with you. That is major, guys. Like, don't underestimate the value of having access to you in your time. You know, sometimes I hear of women coming out of these relationships, but they still, oh yeah, sometimes we talk, or sometimes I try to talk to him and explain things to him, or sometimes I tell him to go to church, or sometimes you're still giving people access to you. Like, there's 24 hours in a day. 8 of those were sleeping, right? Few of those were using the bathroom, eating, and if you have kids, taking care of kids. Like, we don't have a lot of time. We have to be very selective with who we give our time to, right? So part of healing is being more selective about who you give your time to, who you give that loyalty to, pouring into them, giving them kind words, uplifting them, trying to help them. And it doesn't make you a bad person to say, you know what, this is not a person I can give my time to, or this is not a person that's safe for me to open myself up and give my time to, right? Because even having a conversation with someone, have you ever had a conversation with someone and you just feel disgusted after? You didn't have any bad conversation, but you just didn't feel right. Like, your energy-wise, your spirit just didn't take well with them, right? Even having a conversation with someone can expose you. It can expose you. It can open you up to things that you shouldn't be open up to. I'll just leave it there on a spiritual note. So you have to become selective. If you want to stop attracting narcissists into your life, you have to learn how to become selective about who you give your time to. And yes, everyone comes off very nice in the beginning. So that's not the hard part. The hard part is knowing what are your limits, what are your boundaries, right? If someone is lying, starts to lie to you, what are you going to do, right? If someone starts cursing at you, they were nice in the beginning, but then they start using profanity to you, and you told them not to, and they're still doing it, then what do you do? What are your limits, right? What are your non-negotiables, right? What is a complete no-no for you, right? That's your non-negotiable. You have to become clear about that. And a lot of times, people are not clear about that. And I get that. I mean, none of us were really raised being clear about any of that stuff, right? All right, one half is done. Oof. I'll put that to the back and go to the other half. So what's important with this kind of hair is that once you flat iron it, so once I'm done, I'm going to part it in the way I usually wear it. I'm going to do a quick pass, maybe put a little bit of curls at the end, let the curls cool, and then I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to keep it wrapped until tomorrow. That is a key that a lot of people don't know about. You have to keep your hair wrapped for a good 8 hours, okay? Maybe not for everyone's hair type, but for my hair type, I see the value in doing that, because if I were to go after this and then go out and run errands, especially in warm weather, it would ruin it. It needs time to set in the straight formation that it's in. So wrap it up, cover it up, and take it out the next day, or at least 8 hours later. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this on the ends because I notice my hair is a little greasy. Now that's why I always start with the right side, especially the right back. For those of you who's watching this also for hair tips, with our type of hair, we have different textures, right, for Black women. And the right back part of my hair is kinkier than the rest of my head. So I always start with that part, because if I make a mistake and put too much product there, it's usually better to do it there than any other part of my hair, because at least that part is kinkier, thicker, and then that can help weigh it down a bit so it doesn't frizz back out. Like this part of my hair is the straightest part of my hair. It's the thinnest, straightest part of my hair. It's so straight compared to the rest of my hair that when I wear my hair curly, I literally have to scrunch it, you know, to get the curls going. Completely different texture than over here. Okay. Oof, I'm getting hot. All right. So I think I answered that question about why do you keep attracting narcissists. Understanding what are your boundaries, right? Okay, so that was the last part I was touching on, was that You need to have boundaries. You need to know, and I know that sounds very cliche, so let me just quickly break that down, is you need to know what your requirements are and what your non-negotiables are, right? What is required to be in your life. A lot of people out there can be nice, and this doesn't only have to apply to regular like romantic relationships, but it can apply to platonic relationships, anything, right? I come across a lot of nice people and people who appear to be nice. Let me say that. They're nice to me. They're just nice. But not everyone is cut out to be close to you. There's a difference, right? So you have to become selective with that. You have to become selective with what is your requirements. Why is that coming out like that? Anyway, straight. This is a major, in my program I have 11 different classes, and one of them goes deep into that, and I think that is a key in healing and rebuilding yourself after that relationship. What that also does for you when you become so clear about who you are, what you want, having standards, right? Having standards. And people who are manipulative may try to make you seem like you're being too bougie or too stuck up, or who are you? But you are God's child, okay? That's who you are. And you're here with a purpose, and he does not want anyone to distract you. He does not want anyone to hurt you. So you have to have standards. You have to be aware. You have to be selective, So get clear on that. Make sure you're not desperate for anything. You can want something, but you can't be desperate. Desperate means you're going to ignore things that are dangerous for you. Right? If you look in the animal kingdom, their life is very simple. They wake up, they eat, they use the bathroom, and they go back to sleep, and they mate to procreate, right? But they're not going to do anything that is going to hurt them or their herd, right? Their, I think it's called a herd, their community of fellow species, because they're all about self-preservation, right? And that's the same thing for us. Self-preservation looks a little different for us. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's also about doing what is healthy for you, what is good for you. And if you start to implement that, you're not going to find yourself in those relationships anymore. Because you have standards, you know what you want, and you know that sometimes people can show you a good sign, but you already have your standards set that if they switch things up on you a few months later, even though it may hurt, you will not hesitate to say, you know what, I have to go. This is not working. Because you understand that there are some people who can act very well for the first few weeks or the first few months, right? They call it love bombing. So that can work on anyone. It doesn't mean that healing doesn't mean that you won't ever be fooled. But when that monster shows his ugly head, when he takes his mask off, you understand that there are times you may have to walk away from something even though it seemed good in the beginning. Even though you might cry yourself to sleep for the next few nights. You understand that you have to focus on self-preservation and do what is best for you, even if it hurts in the beginning. Whew. So usually I do this sitting down because some of you have asked about my hair. I said, okay, today I'll do it standing up so that it would be easier to see on camera. But it's going pretty quick, so it's okay. I'm already done with half of the head. So yes, I hope that answer was helpful for you. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm here to answer any questions for you. We all have problems, but there's always people out there with the answers to our problems. We just need to ask and we need to implement. So do not hesitate to ask. And I'm more than willing to answer. I can't implement for you. That's something you have to do yourself, just like I have to do it for myself. But you can ask. All right, I'm going to pull up the next question. Whew. When a narcissist finds a new supply, do they just stop talking to you? Some do and some don't. It depends. And I can explain some different cases where they do and some cases where they don't and why. But before I do that, did I take a piece of straight here? I did. Hold on. Before I do that, I want you to know that it is not up to them whether they talk to you or not. It's up to you. Okay? It's up to you who has access to you. You cannot govern your life based on whether someone wants to talk to you or not. You have to decide based on patterns of behavior, is this person healthy for me or not? And if they are not, they should not have access to you. Okay? So I want to start with that before I go into the other stuff, because too often I see people allowing other people, especially people that they consider already to be toxic or narcissistic, to determine whether they talk to them or not. Oh, but he's not talking to me. Like, what about you? What you want? Do you want him talking to you? Do you want someone who has been destructive to you talking to you? It's not about what they want. They can want whatever they want. I have Caribbean parents, and when we were kids, that's what they would tell us. You can want, oh mommy, I want this, I want, you can want what you want, but I'm going to tell you what happens. Right? That's how you need to govern your life. They can want what they want, but you don't have to participate in that. You control who has access to you. Not the other way around. So let me answer that question again. When a narcissist finds a new supply, do they just stop talking to you? So I'll answer it from a different angle now. In some cases, yes, they do stop talking to you. If you have, if you have become too difficult for them to manipulate and control, and this new person is very easy for them to control, yes, they may leave you alone completely. If they see that they can't get through to you anymore, they can't trigger you anymore, they can't hurt you anymore, like you have completely gone cold with them, right? You are clear on who they are, you're clear on who you are, and you are not giving them the time of day, yes, they will leave you alone. And this new supply is like completely naive and oblivious to who they are, and they're an easy toy for them right now. Yes, that's a situation where they will leave you alone because they found someone new that they can play games with. In some cases, they won't leave you alone. Usually that's when they see that they have some opening to still get to you, to still hurt you. Even with the new person there, they don't care. You know, they're not honest, faithful people. So even with a new supply there, they will still, whether it's all the time or whether it's sporadic, occasional, they will still try to trigger you, still try to talk to you, whether it's talking to you to keep your hopes up that maybe the relationship might come back together. They know that you are desperate for that, whether you're openly desperate for it or secretly desperate for it, but they can see it in you. They're keeping that door open just in case. They like to keep doors open, by the way. So that new supply, they probably have that new supply already, because they like to keep doors open because they know who they are, and they know it's only a matter of time before someone figures them out. So they love to keep their options open, right? So talking to you still means that they want to keep their options open. That's one of the reasons they may still talk to you, even though they have a new supply. They may also still keep that open. If you have children involved, right, then the communication, the talking is still there. But a lot of it is to still keep you on edge. You know, they don't really care about being in a relationship with you or not. Yes, it benefits them that they have someone that they can control. They have someone, you know, under them, under their wing, and not in a good way, of course. But if they can't be in a relationship with you, they can still cause a lot of damage, manipulation, everything. They can still do a lot without technically having the title. So being able to have access to you is really all they need. So still talking to you, even though they have a new supply, that's what that's about. You know, that is fun for them. It's all fun and games for them to be able to control and to trigger, right? And they can come off very loving. Yeah, I realized where I went wrong. I want to do better, whatever it is. And sometimes they can come off very mean and intimidating, to upset you, to trigger you. They love to see that they can break people. That is their ultimate goal, that I can control and break someone, right? Spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, they love to see that. They love to cause confusion. So even when they're coming off very nice, that is to potentially cause some type of confusion. To make you think, maybe I made a mistake, you know? Maybe I shouldn't have ended it. They figure if I'm nice to her or him, if you're a man, then that might make them confused, right? And confusion means they still have control. Confusion means they can still trigger. Confusion means that they still have some form of control and access to you. And that's really what it's about. So that's why I opened this answering this question with, it doesn't matter what they want, whether they want to talk to you or not. It's about what you want. What are your standards for yourself? All right, so I'm going to answer the next question for you. Whew. Luckily, I only do this twice a month. Because this is a lot of work. Why is this not opening up? Okay. The next question is, what narcissists do after you leave them? So of course they can respond in different ways. Never look at these, look at things on social media and feel like you got the exact blueprint for a narcissist. Yes, there are a lot of similarities. Yes, as mental health professionals, there is a book for us to be able to diagnose called the DSM, and there are certain criteria in there that has to be met in order to give that diagnosis. So yes, there are some similarities amongst that group of people, but there are also a lot of differences, because the criteria that is there can show up in different ways, right? I'm not doing this the right way, but it's flowing. Let's see. Yeah. So everyone, they can all respond differently, right? Some of the ways they can respond, usually it's never a clean cut with them. If they leave you, that's one thing. If you leave them, even when they leave you, they still like to hang around because, again, they want to have access to you to still be able to control and break and manipulate and trigger. But if you leave them now, that's worse. That's not to scare you. because it needs to be done, unless you want to continue to self-sabotage yourself and stay in a situation that is not healthy for you. So it has to be done. And of course, you need to strategize to do it in a safe way. Some of them can become very dangerous. But when you leave them, that is worse for them because it bruises their ego. They feel offended. You see, in their mind, even though it sounds crazy, in their mind, they have the right to treat you the way they've been treating you. You don't have the right to tell them to stop. Now, they may not say this to you verbatim in those words, but this is how they think, right? So when you leave, even though they know that they've been mistreating you, in their mind, you don't have the right to say enough is enough. So they become furious. In their minds, they are right and you are wrong. In their minds, you are ungrateful. They've done things for you, and here you are leaving now. You have children together, and here you are breaking up the family. Again, they completely overlook the fact that they have been the ones that have been breaking you and abusing you, and you have simply made the decision to say, I don't want to be abused anymore. Right? So they're going to respond in most cases where they're not going to want to let you go. They're going to try to do things to still have access to you. If you have kids, they're definitely going to try to do things to upset you. They're going to either try to turn the kids against you or just be really good to the kids to make the kids feel like they're the better parent. They could say things to the children to cause the children stress. Because they need someone to manipulate, and usually that shows up in ways that parents don't recognize, like the children becoming very quiet maybe. Some people may think, oh, this kid is just going through puberty and they're quiet, or oh, you know, I know a case where the child is into martial arts a lot, and on one hand you can say, yes, he's channeling his frustration in a positive way and he's not out there, you know, selling drugs or something, but there's clearly some anger in him where he's not talking to anyone, but he's into these martial arts, right? That's a very common one where you see kids become more silent, right? They're more withdrawn. And they don't care. They don't care that their behavior is affecting the children or the child. They just need to hurt you, and by hurting the children, they know that that hurts you. I want you to hear me loud and clear. These people are not capable of love, okay? If you see traits of someone being abusive, toxic, manipulative, and narcissistic in particular, these people are not capable of love, not even to their children. So they will hurt their children just to hurt the other parent, okay? That's one way that they could respond. They will still try to have access to you. So they may still call you. They may still text you. They will still check your social media. They may try to create triangulation between other mutual friends or even family members. So triangulation means getting messages to you through other people. And that could be directly or indirectly. Directly would look like, hey, tell Nailah so-and-so. Or it could say, hey, did you know I bought a new car today? Yeah, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell Nailah, knowing that you're still going to tell Nailah, right? That's indirectly. So either way, they want to still be able to have access to you. They may also use that triangulation to check up on you. Yeah, so how's not? And they may do it in very manipulative ways where that person in the triangulation may not recognize. How's Nailah doing? Right? How is she doing? I was worried about her. So to that person who doesn't understand narcissists, they think they're just being nice and caring. And they'll answer, oh yeah, Nailah's doing good. She's doing this, she's doing that, and give all your business away to this person who actually hates you. Right? This is why you have to be very careful with who you socialize with and how you socialize with certain people after the relationship ends. Because there's going to be people that they're going to use and they don't even know they're being used. You understand? They're that crafty. And people who don't know narcissists, they don't know better. It's not their fault. A lot of times they're innocent. They're just caught up and they don't even realize they're caught up. But that doesn't mean that you have to keep yourself open to them either. You may have to pull away from certain people. You may have to filter what you say and how much you deal with certain people, because you see that they are being triangulated, right? They're being used and manipulated by that narcissist. And the sad part about it, it could even be your own family. You know, it could be someone as close as your own mother, your own father, if they are very naive to who that person is. Now, for me personally, I don't understand that. I'm a mother of 2 kids and they're little. But if they were to become adults or young adult teenagers, whatever, and they tell me, Mom, this is what's going on. Not that my kids are perfect, but if my child say they don't trust you and they want to stay away from you, I don't have to hear anymore. I'm doing the same. So you can't even get through to me to get to them, right? But not all parents are like that. Sometimes friends. And that's why, you know, coming out of these relationships, there's so much loss, because a lot of times not only are you losing the image that you had about this person, and the fantasy that you created around them, and the type of life you thought you were going to build with them. So that's one loss. You didn't lose them, because getting rid of them is like getting rid of garbage, right? You don't want to hold on to garbage. But you thought that it wasn't going to be garbage, right? You thought it was going to be a whole different situation. So that is still loss, and you still have to grieve that. But with these relationships, there's usually additional loss, because usually you have to now start being very careful with who you talk to, what you say. And then sometimes there's more loss, or there's more relational issues with other people if they have managed to infiltrate and get through to them. I am just on time. Whew. I have one section left. Let me pick the speed up a bit. Okay. So yes, so those are some of the different ways that they may respond when you leave the relationship. And however they respond, you have to keep your safety and your well-being at the forefront. They need to know that they don't have control over you anymore. They need to know that they can't have access to you anymore. And if they don't respect that, they need to know that you will implement any type of law enforcement, law, anything, because you are not to be played with. They need to know that. If not, they will try to bully their way through. They definitely will. They are bullies. That is part of their... I'm just getting to the roots in the back here because I have it split down the middle. So that middle part sometimes doesn't get the heat like it's supposed to. Because like I said, I plant on my hair every 2 weeks. I don't go back like every few days and style it with the heat. I do heat twice a month and that's it. Now when I didn't have this color, if I had somewhere to go or I just wanted to zhuzh my hair up a bit, I would quickly put in some curls, but I always spray a heat protectant first. So that's why it's so important for me to get every root, every section, make sure there's no kinkiness going on back here, because I don't want to have to come back in later. I'm very strict about that, and I think that's why my hair does so well. The deep conditioner and making sure I don't put too much heat. Okay, here it is. One section left. And this is the easy section. That's why I always leave it for last. All right, let me pull up one more question while we do this, and then we should be good. Let me take that out. Take that out. What do narcissists do once they know they lost you forever? They find a new supply. They find a new supply. When you leave, let me spray this real quick. When you leave, they're still gonna try, right? We just spoke about that. They're gonna try to find ways to contact you, still have access to you, etc., etc. But your question is, what do they do when once they see that they've lost you forever, right? So they realize, that means they realize like, okay, I'm not getting through to her anymore. I can't manipulate her anymore. That's it. They're gonna move on. They're definitely gonna move on. And that's why I always teach setting boundaries, right? One of the classes in my program, the Relationship Detox, I talk about not just going no contact, but maintaining no contact. Because when they see that there is zero hope, zero, not 1%, zero hope for them, that's when they leave you alone. But when you entertain their games of talking sometimes, responding to text messages sometimes, even if it's once or twice a year, you're still giving them a 1% hope that they might be able to get in when they need to get in. Or it's just really to stroke their ego too. Even if they know you never get back in a relationship with them, the fact that they know that you might respond to some text messages is already satisfying for them. I know it sounds crazy, but this is how these people think. So even if you say, okay, only once or twice a year I'll respond, or once in a while, you are still keeping the door open. You're doing it to yourself, you know, and that's the part that a lot of people don't want to face. We want to study narcissism, we want to study toxic people, but we don't want to look at what is your role. If you're giving them any access to you, and if you have children, yes, of course it's harder, but being strict about what do you discuss with them? How do you communicate with them? You know, can they call you any time of night? Right? Can they text you with anything? Do you set boundaries when they text you with something that doesn't have to do with the kids? Are they able to lure you into arguments easily? Right? Or do you say, this is what the judge says, this is what we're doing. You don't want to do it, fine, we go back to court. Right? Do they know you are like strict about your boundaries? Or do they know that you're sometimes flexible with your boundaries? Right? These are not, remember, these are not normal people. There's no, oh, let's just be flexible and understanding with them. No. Then you are causing yourself more pain because you are keeping the door open. You're entertaining their games. Right? So if you want to get rid of them, get rid of them. They have to know that they've lost you forever. And that means you are setting boundaries and you are maintaining those boundaries. And they know for sure that there's no flexibility in your boundaries, no matter what. But they will leave you alone. They don't want to work too hard either, you know. They like to play games, but if they see that they can't get through to you at all, and it doesn't mean they won't try again. There are people in my life, as I explained, not only have I had a narcissistic romantic relationship, but also family relationships. And it's been years since I've spoken to some of those family members. And I would say maybe once a year or every other year, they'll give it a try. They'll give it a try. Not clear, like, hi Nailah, can I talk to you? No, they'll do something, or usually it's through someone else that they will say something to them to try to trigger a response. They'll still try, so it doesn't mean they won't try, but it'll be definitely a lot less, and they will definitely move on to someone that's easier for them to play games with and to manipulate. I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and my baby is up. All right, guys, I wanted you to see the end product, but you'll see it tomorrow. I'm going to finish this section and then I'm done. Y'all have a blessed day. If you have any questions or comments, you let me know in the comments below. Bye.